Harry Potter's appeal is all about making school fun. It's a story filled with everyday student problems like homework, bullies, and jerk teachers who never outgrew their incel phase, but it's all served with a sprinkle of fairy dust. That's why I couldn't give two dinks about Harry and his gang. If you played the soundtrack of my youth, you wouldn't hear the school bell, but you definitely get the theme song from Cops as they break up another trailer park brawl. There is no dimension where I would find school fun. But hey, I get, in theory, why some folks dig Harry Potter. Chloe Liese's book, Always Only You, part of the Bergman Brothers Series, tapped into this very specific Potterhead mindset. And this is very much a book for adults, which made for a very bizarre, fascinating read. So today, I'm giving this the old booktube booktok review. Big warning for spoilers, big warning for spicy content, and I'll throw on screen any other content warnings I might have forgotten. Let's start with the official summary. It's an office romance on the ice rink. In this heart-melting story about love's power not in spite of differences, but because of it. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be sarcastic. It's just really hard to read this with a straight face. Okay. Ren has known Frankie Zeffirino was a woman worth waiting for since the moment they met. She's a master of deadpan delivery, has a secret heart of gold, and a rare, one-dimpled smile that makes his knees go weak. But as long as Frankie's the team's social media manager, she's off limits. Frankie is a self-admittedly blunt, grumbly grump, but even she isn't immune to sunshiny Ren Bergman. Who could be, when he's a 6'3" hunk of happy with a hockey player's physique? Maybe in the past, Frankie would have gone for a guy like him, but since being burned too many times by people who learn about her diagnosis and see a problem, not a person, she's wizened up. After waiting years for the right time to make his move, Ren learns Frankie's plans to leave the team to pursue a new career. But what he didn't anticipate is how hard he'll have to work to convince her to let him have his shot at winning her heart. End quote. So Frankie is the social media manager for the LA Kings, and her job duties fall somewhere between a digital cheerleader and being an overworked den mother for a bunch of grown men. Ren Bergman plays for the Kings, and I have no idea if he's the quarterback or the pitcher. Did that not make sense? Well, it doesn't matter, because the ice hockey part of this book is absolutely negligible. He could have played any sport, and it'd be the same damn story. But if he did, then we wouldn't see his book on the ice hockey romance table. Aw, look at this. Isn't this just so cute? They're big, tough hockey guys. Oh, but they're gonna find love. It's just so adorable. It lost my fucking mind when I encountered this table. I don't think we have fully grasped the monumental consequences of Hannah Grace's icebreakers. Okay, in 100 years, we're not going to define books by fiction and nonfiction. It's going to be ice hockey romance or no ice hockey romance. So all rom-coms need to throw hurdles in the way of our main two, even if it's obvious that these two are going to get together. Ren and Frankie are co-workers, and since professional athlete and social media manager are pretty sweet gigs, they have every reason to keep things above board. This isn't like banging a waitress when you're a dishwasher. They'd be risking a pension. So not only are they unable to date because they're co-workers, but Frankie has autism, which means that even though it's smack in the face obvious that Ren is into her, she has a lot of doubts and isn't sure how to make sense of what's going on. This is one of the more intriguing reasons why the protagonists in a rom-com are not immediately coming together. There's plenty of rom-com protagonists who are kind of oblivious. This one has an actual diagnosis explaining why she's not picking up on these colossal hints. And that was cool. Now, if the furry avatar didn't give it away, yes, I do have autism, and from my point of view, the way the character processed emotions and her uncertainty about the minutia of socialization was very true to life. If you skim through this book's Goodreads page, that's a high point for a lot of readers. But autism isn't a monolith, so there's plenty of one-star reviews that are a bit peeved and have a lot to say about this being very try-hard, or that Frankie talks more about being a no-nonsense ice queen than actually being an ice queen. When Frankie describes her personal style, she says, "My nails are of course painted their usual glossy black with a silver shimmer on the middle finger, because it makes flipping people off extra festive. The whole look is very Wednesday Addams, with a similar and intended repelling effect." End quote. Like, come on. Come on. I know that's going to be the girl boss inspo some people need, but I was physically cringing. Frankie also has rheumatoid arthritis, and while I can't personally speak on that, reaction to that on Goodreads seems a bit more mixed. From my outsider point of view, it seemed mostly fine. Author Chloe Liese says that she, quote, writes romance reflecting her belief that everyone deserves a love story, end quote. And that's pretty cool. I can tell her heart's in the right place, and she is someone who seems to be giving a genuine effort towards making stories with lots of diversity. Leading man Ren Bergman raises the bar to an impossible standard for all men, so if this is what chicks are looking for, I might as well stick to dudes. Not only is he a 6'3" chiseled hockey player, he also has a sunshine personality. He refuses to give in to toxic masculinity found in professional sports, and if that's not enough, he's also a total Shakespeare nerd. This dude is flawless. And this is the biggest thing that will make or break the story. If you go into this accepting that this is a story about the most damaged woman finding the most perfectest man, this is all par for the course. I'm big into yaoi, so I'm pretty used to seeing straight women's idea of a perfect dream boyfriend that could not exist in reality. But if your bullshit meter's tuned a little bit tighter, you'll be rolling your eyes every time Ren shows up on screen. And woof, let me tell you about the bedroom scenes. Cringe central. Not sure if straight chicks are into this, but every time things got spicy, I was reading it like I was trying to keep a rotten egg at arm's length. There is a lot of talk about how Ren's a virgin, and that shit felt pretty weird. Can't help but feel like if the roles were reversed, this book would be committing a heckin' sexism. And this book is very aware of itself. This is very much the straight girl fantasy of wanting a big burly man to sweep you off your feet and protect you. But it's also very in-your-face, pink hat feminist. So there's a lot of nods to feminist concepts and lampshade hanging whenever something a little too heteronormative pops up. There's a line where I think it was the protagonist says something like, I can ogle men. I'm just evening the playing field. And look, if chicks want to do that, whatever. But don't act like you're so empowered by perpetuating systems of oppression. If objectification is bad, then you should work to destroy it, not justify your participation. This shallow thinking makes me insane. Just say your hunky hockey boyfriend is hot. Of course I'm gonna drool over him. Who wouldn't? I'd have way more respect for that mentality rather than the mental fucking gymnastics of hiding behind your idea of feminism to justify a very human response of thinking the hockey player is a smoke show. Because why should you trip over yourself to justify your very normal libidinous response? Just own it, dude! In Always Only You, the narrative constructs various scenarios that cater to classic heterosexual female fantasies of being protected by a man. It begins with an aggressive individual at a bar, pestering Frankie, that leads to Ren defending Frankie's honor. And wouldn't you know it, the Frankie's having car trouble, prompting Ren to step in, driving her home in his pickup van. And during the ride, Frankie daydreams about Ren surrounded by children, embodying protective paternal figure fantasy. The narrative escalates when Frankie's house is burglarized. Ren not only calms her down and offers comfort, but also takes the initiative to contact the police, showcasing his reliability in a crisis. And Frankie doesn't have anywhere to stay when the locks are being changed, so enter Ren, once again, offering his beach house as a sanctuary, which conveniently places them in close, intimate proximity, further entrenching the fantasy of being taken care of by a strong, capable man. And look, dude, there is nothing wrong with that style of fantasy, but you're kinda killing the mood when your protagonist keeps going, that's not very feminist of me to be crying and looking to a strong man for protection. Like, do you want the feminist girl power story, or do you want the chicklet romance? I'm sure there's ways to pull this off and balance the two, but this constant and ringing anxiety over being feminist enough dragged down the experience. This book is the girl version of when a horn dog artist draws a waifu with impossible proportions and a ridiculous outfit, and the horn dog artist goes, well, actually, this outfit is very normal on Waifu-chan's home planet. And actually, her breasts are pretty small compared to the rest of the species, and some artists will work this into their story better than others, and let me say this loud and clear. I don't think curvy characters or skimpy outfits are inherently bad. My problem is with the artists who say, but you can't say I'm a sexist. Those are the characters doing. It's not me, it's the character. And they act like they're not the ones piloting the Opie Dream Girl. They're simply channeling the power of voluptuous breasts into the pen. I don't know how Chloe Liese feels IRL about these different issues, but this book reeked of a similar, albeit gender-reverse spin on this self-conscious attitude. There's a scene where protagonist Frankie is catching up with her gal pal, and gal pal makes a joke about how now that they've passed the Bechdel test, it's time for Frankie to dish about her new man. But Frankie's completely confused. She swears she doesn't even know what the Bechdel test even is. And this was easily the dumbest moment in the book, because Frankie is savvy enough to know about J.K. Rowling's knucklehead behavior on Twitter, but she, honest to God, had no idea what the Bechdel test even was. Like, I don't believe it. Alison Bechdel's work has been on the bestseller list multiple times. In 2015, Funhouse was required reading for incoming students at Duke University. I know not everyone is going to know who she is, but come on. To hit the bestseller list and be required school reading means that she is not some no-name nobody, and I find it especially hard to believe that this character, who's constantly posturing about feminism, just has a blank fucking stare when her friend brings up the Bechdel test. Like, no, try again. I know Frankie knows what this is. It's a completely fumbled attempt to be self-aware. All right, now that I'm warmed up and in full nitpick mode, let's go back to Frankie's autism diagnosis. You know how I said I liked the way Frankie processed social interactions and felt very true to life? I stand by that. I thought that was handled very well. But here's what I didn't like. I didn't like that Frankie put herself in scenarios that makes no sense for an autistic person. And by that, I mean, why is she the social media manager for a hockey team? This job does not make sense for an autistic person. There's the notion that autistic people are adept at crafting facades for social situations, but this doesn't mitigate the exhaustion from her being perpetually on in such a socially intensive role like attending all of the team's games, practices, and after-hour drinking hangouts. Doesn't that get exhausting? If her role as a social media manager was one where she sits at a desk and runs something like the Wendy's Twitter account, I'd have an easier time believing that someone autistic can do that job effortlessly. But we see she's keeping tabs on everyone in the team, both online and off, and she knows exactly how to perfectly curate everyone's image. And I'm sorry, dude, but I just don't buy it. And this book is aware that autism is a spectrum, but you gotta be way closer to neurodivergent if you're going to a hockey game every week. Later in the book, Frankie meets up with Ren's little sister, who is also autistic, and she feels a little guilty about never going to Ren's hockey games. And I'm just like, yeah, Frankie, how can you go to all these hockey games and claim you have autism? I'm not even saying you don't have it. I'm saying I'm too autistic to understand how this is possible. And this is why I brought up Harry Potter at the start of the video, because this work fantasy is where I'm reminded the most of Harry Potter. What if you were constantly wrangling all the men in your life? What if you were constantly stressed out and addicted to social media and you couldn't put down your phone, but it's for your ritzy social media manager job? And so rather than envisioning a different or stress-free existence, we're presented a scenario where your everyday stress is incredibly idealized and glamorized, just like how Harry Potter offered us the idealized school life fantasy. And this book's ambivalence offers a unique perspective. It engages with content and events considered troubling or problematic while maintaining an awareness of its contentious nature. And this unwillingness to let go of things you're uncomfortable with and forge a new path is everywhere. This protagonist is obsessed with Harry Potter. She nicknamed her cane the Elder Wand. She shouts spells at people and finds plenty of opportunities to work in references to her favorite series. But there's also a nod to J.K. Rowling's problematic nature. The book tells us Frankie's disappointment. She says, "You can write a magical world, brimming with complex, label-defying characters, and still be a trans-exclusionary, feminist disappointment." End quote. And look, wrestling with a problematic special interest is something very autism specific. I love Pokemon, but I know darn well that Nintendo has done plenty of anti-art, anti-consumer practices, and it makes me fucking sick. But I know, I'm going to continue to be a good little customer and continue to buy microtransactions in Pokemon Unite. Harry Potter's a bit trickier of a fandom since Pikachu's never stared down the camera, said a bunch of boomer tier turf shit. When you love Harry Potter but you feel uneasy about J.K. Rowling, it's all about where you personally draw the line. We each have our own comfort levels with what we choose to embrace or reject. But my point in bringing this all up is this. Why are we even talking about Harry Potter in this story? Because I don't care if you love it in real life. I don't care if it gives you lots of conflicted feelings because J.K. Rowling personally yoinked you out of the women's volleyball team. This isn't real. This is a story, and you chose to include all of these Harry Potter references. Even if you love Harry Potter and you feel weird about it, you don't need to transplant this to your protagonist. I don't feel like you give a shit about trans people because you denounce JKR's turfisms. You'd do a better job of conveying that if you threw a trans character somewhere, anywhere in the cast. Why can't you just let it go and give your protagonist something else to be into? Just like with all of the heteronormative fantasies, it wants to indulge in something that they know is quote-unquote wrong, but stay aware that they know it's wrong. So it should come as no fucking surprise that so much of this plot is moved forward by an uncritical devotion to capitalism and consumer culture. Frankie's B-plot is her application to UCLA, with aspirations of studying law to manage athletes' contracts. Her career goal is impressive, But the real intrigue lies in how it affects her relationship with Ren. Currently, they can't be together due to workplace rules against dating. However, acceptance into UCLA would free them from these constraints. So the story is saying that their happiness and romantic progression hinges on advancing their career and social standing. When you buy into the system and you never stop hustling, all your dreams will come true. And you could say that's cherry picking. You could say that's just part of the wish fulfillment. Not only is the protagonist getting the dream guy, she's also going to go to the dream school. All right, whatever. Fine. But there are several instances where shopping and possessions are portrayed as the catalyst for character development and relationship progression. For instance, after the scuffle at the bar, Ren thoughtfully replaces Frankie's blouse with one featuring magnetic buttons, showcasing his attention to detail and consideration for her rheumatoid arthritis. Later in the story, when Frankie meets Ren's little sister, she introduces the girl to the convenience of online shopping on Amazon. This allows the sister to move beyond wearing her brother's hand-me-downs, empowered to now wear cute, comfortable clothes tailored to her own taste and autistic sensory needs, with Frankie sharing all the shopping tips and tricks. Later, when Frankie stays over at Ren's, she's pleasantly surprised to find his bed fitted with a heating pad. It's an unusual addition that proves invaluable for managing her RA symptoms and underlines Ren's attentiveness as the perfect partner. While many heartfelt moments between the characters occur independently of material goods, these consumer-driven interactions are often highlighted with considerable enthusiasm. Which brings me to my biggest problem with this book. Ignore everything I just said because, you know what? I don't know dick about social commentary or how to critique consumerist culture. This was all a prelude. This was a ruse to tell you about the nastiest fucking thing I have ever seen in chicklet, and that is Harry Potter panties. Frankie will not shut the fuck up about her Harry Potter panties. It is disgusting. Every chapter, this chick is oversharing about how her Hogwarts panties are sopping wet. She might as well nickname the downstairs the leaky cauldron. Please, allow me to reiterate. I can't say it enough. It's not her underoos that are wet. It's not the spicy little lace number she's hiding under her business casual outfit. It is specifically the Harry Potter ones every fucking time, and I don't get it. If one time it was like a joke about her wearing big, ugly gag underwear with a big old Alan Rickman face scowling in disapproval and she got a little too excited, I think, that's a good one. But it's not that. She talks about drenching her Hedwig panties. Yeah, Hedwig, the owl. I'm trying real hard to cling to my Bushido code of never sex shaming, but dude, what the fuck? I've drawn Togekiss in plenty of compromising scenarios, and she's a big fat owl, right? Am I so different from this? Why does this feel so damn weird? You know what? Fuck it. Let me read you the passage. Ren freezes mid-push-up, which doesn't help the state of affairs in my panties, as his ridiculous triceps pop, along with every muscle in his back. Tonight, I'm wearing my lucky Hedwig boy shorts, meaning, as the Ren effect takes place, this time it's Harry's beloved pet owl that gets caught in the rain. Or, okay, if that wasn't enough for you, how about this? She says, archaic male demonstrations of protectiveness are not sexy. Archaic male demonstrations of protectiveness are not sexy. Archaic? Damn it, this is sexy and my body knows it. I can't deny it any more than I can deny my Harry Potter panties are now as wet as a rainy day at Hogwarts. Ugh, gross. I'm calling Uncle Man, this is too much cringe. Is this what happens when someone gets too deep into Harry Potter and they never get their Hogwarts letter? So this leads to some Freudian psychosexual trauma that makes them exclusively wear Harry Potter panties? I want to know what's the endgame here, because she even brings this shit up when she finally bangs the hockey player. She says, that's an impressive length. If you read Harry Potter with any kind of dedication, you'd know me calling your Venus. Your wand is the world's best compliment to a man. No, stop, please stop. I am begging you to stop. I'm sorry, this is uncomfortable. I have to sex shame here and be a prude. This was too much for me because this is the apex of millennial fringe geek culture. This is the natural end state for all the Potterhead adults who think their fandom makes them special. This is it. This is where I'm drawing the line. I finally found the need for a safe word for cringe. So what makes this truly uncomfortable is this interest in Harry Potter feels very surface level. She's not saying, now Hedwig, ooh, that is my kind of woman. Something like that, I would conceptually understand. Instead, it's about stating her identity as a Potterhead, something so intrinsic to her that it extends to the bedroom. But what is it about Harry Potter specifically that gets her going? I don't know, but I know she bought the merch for it, and I know she's got enough to wear every day with, hopefully, plenty of changes in between. I wish she would tell me, with her words, why Harry Potter is linked to her sexuality. Much like hockey in this book, You could replace this with any fandom when the spicy scene shows up. And I'm not going to accept that she's so deep into her special interest that it comes natural to reference it, even when things are getting hot and heavy. No, I want Frankie to dig a little bit deeper. Because if you ask me, what is it about your Pokemon husbando you like? I would be able to tell you. Or for a more mainstream example, if you ask any brony why Rainbow Dash is their favorite, they're gonna have an answer. But I know if I found a way to work in a Pokemon reference into the bedroom, I take that chance. Hell, every time I find something I'm looking for, I shout out, Pureto Janeka! I'm not gonna turn that off just because things are getting hot and heavy. And there lies exactly why this is bothering me so much. Because this protagonist isn't just referencing Harry Potter. She's waving her cane around and pretending it's a wand and reciting spells. It doesn't matter if the people around her get it or not. This is how she expresses herself. Even if she's more into that consumerist mindset than me, I know this is very close to how I operate. I'm one of those cringy weeaboos that casually drops Japanese into a conversation, and I don't even care if I'm not understood. I just have an easier time expressing myself like this. And it's hard for me to connect with others. But meanwhile, Frankie can throw on a Harry Potter sweater and bam, she's announced to the world what fandom she's in. And she can get whatever social cred and interpersonal connections that come with this in-group participation. Meanwhile, I feel like there is no fandom identity that I could share that could possibly elevate my status to others. I feel like I am the bad example of every fandom I'm in. And that gets lonely. Like, take for example my identity as an otaku. I own anime merch, and that's a good conversation starter, but like, what are the chances that I am ever going to encounter someone who's deep enough into manga that they're making their own? Or even a step further, they participate in Japanese manga contests with the hopes of getting a serialization. If you're outside of Japan, that number is 0. And someone doesn't need to have big mangaka goals for me to want to hang out with them. But look, it sucks that there's no one I can relate to with this. And it hurts that I've got this maladjusted frequency, like I'm the world's loneliest whale. After a lifetime of being rejected, of being the outsider, it's easier for me to proudly declare, this is something that will repel strangers rather than trying to make an active effort to connect with others. I know this is a problem, and I know I need to get over myself, and maybe now that I'm doing YouTube, I can meet other Nakama on the same path. Who knows? But seeing someone say, this is my fandom, and they buy the merch, they display the merch, everyone knows the merch, they make a bunch of inappropriate comments about wetting their merch and no one has a problem, well, it hurts me to see that. It hurts seeing someone so close to how I live my life effortlessly use their special interest as a way to connect with others, because I feel I will never have that. In the book's final chapter, Frankie proposes to Ren after they've watched Shakespeare in the park. When she pops the question, she quotes Shakespeare to really seal the deal. It's a pretty tangible character development. She's now accepted Ren's special interest, and she's using it to connect with him, and Shakespeare is part of her life too. I'm past the point of, God, I wish that was me, and accepting that this never will be me. So instead of wallowing in pity, I'm going to take action where I can instead of feeling sorry for myself. So after a few months monetized on YouTube, I've saved up, and here's my plan. I'm hiring a hooker. I'm paying her to dress up as my husband, and we're going to go on a date to Barnes & Noble. I'm going back to that goddamn hockey romance table and flipping it over, burning it to the ground. Compton's getting a reboot, and I'm going to be the star.